Hare Krishna. Um, Haladar Das is asking an interesting question. We're all getting more and more conscious of protecting our environment and that we want to keep our carbon footprint to a minimum. But what about going to Mayapur and Vrindavan? I mean, that's, you know, the airplane industry contributes, I think, 10, 12%, something like that, or maybe less, 5, 6%, to the pollution from which our world is suffering. So, should we just go less or not go at all? And my answer would be that you should go, but do it in a conscientious way and try to offset your travels. Now, I'll just go back to a historical event in 1997 where we had 200 some devotees here in Hungary going to India, Mayapur, Vrindavan, and Puri. Now, I spent quite a bit of time going around to different used bus places because the idea was we're going to buy 3 buses and we're going to drive there. Anyway, we ultimately decided against it, but that would have been a green alternative. Stop in different places, Afghanistan, Pakistan, and Iran, Iraq, and do kirtan. Would we have arrived on the other side? Certainly we would have had a lot of parents in anxiety. Anyway, we ended up more or less leasing an Aeroflot plane and flying to Delhi, and then from there we're traveling around by train. And you can't go to India by train right now. So, so you may not be able to drive to India, what to speak of walk to India, although there was such a thing as hitchhikers in my hippie days who hitchhiked all over the world and to India. But you, for instance, those people who are living in London, instead of driving to work every day, or you drive a bicycle, we take public transport. Or instead of, when you're going to school, instead of getting dropped off by your parents, then you tell them, well, let's not drop us off, but I'll just go by public transport, I'll drive my bike. In all the years I went to school, up until university, I was always going by bicycle. In the wintertime, I took public transport, but otherwise, I don't think I'd ever been dropped off by my parents in 11 years of going to school, either in elementary school or high school. But that wasn't because of environmental concerns. So try and balance off and see what else you can do in your life. All right, if I have to, you know, unfortunately, this whole concept of carbon marketing, CO2 marketing has become a real business that wealthy countries who continue to pollute, they pay some poor countries to plant millions of trees and offset their carbon footprint. It's real cheating, but that's what's going on. So we don't need to cheat, but how in our life can we live more carbon free? And of course, one was the mode of transport that we choose. So if we're very careful with that, then that will actually give us the ability to, yes, go occasionally to Mayapur and Vrindavan. So when Srila Prabhupada was with us and he wanted everyone to go annually, and the temple presidents objected, well, how's that practical? What will happen to the temples? And Prabhupada's answer was, well, you have to eat. In other words, going to Mayapur and Vrindavan is food for the soul. And of course, in the absence of going to Mayapur and Vrindavan, you have your local temple. That's why we have New Rajadam here in Hungary, or come here to visit. These are meant to actually be day-to-day alternatives to going and living in Vrindavan, because you don't know how long you're going to be able to go, either due to circumstances or old age. Just the other day I was speaking to an elderly householder couple and talking about going to Mayapur, and I said, no way. The risks of traveling there at the present time and what kind of treatment you're going to get in a very secluded place. So that may mean that they may no longer be able to go. And that's a reality that we will all face at some time in the future. So go while you can, but do your best to compensate. Hare Krishna.